Hello, my name is David. Welcome to the Common Sense Student. Please like this video and also feel free to leave a comment. And if you are not already a Common Sense student, please consider becoming one by subscribing to our channel. Today I'm going to discuss Will Smith's recent apology to Chris Rock that was made on Friday, July 29th. That comes 4 months after the actual events that now warrants his apology. I believe there are common sense lessons that we can learn from Will Smith's apology. But I'm more concerned with what we can learn from the incident rather than the occurrence of the incident itself. I personally believe that it's very humbling when we can recognize our own fallibilities. But let me give you a quick recap. On March 27, 2022, Chris Rock was presenting the Best Documentary Feature Award at the 94th Academy Awards when he made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith's lack of hair. He said, "Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane too, can't wait to see it." Her husband Will Smith at first laughed at the joke, and then when he recognized or realized his wife's annoyed expression, he then proceeded to go on stage and slap Chris Rock across the face. Once seated, he then yelled to Chris Rock to leave his wife's name out of his mouth. Chris Rock was asked by the police if he wanted to. Chris Rock continued with his presentation. And when he was later asked if he wanted to press charges and have Will Smith arrested by the police, he declined to do so. Neither did the organizers of the event ask Will Smith to leave. Will Smith eventually that night won the Best Actor award for his role in the film King Richard. And in his tear-filled acceptance speech, he said, among other things, "In this business, you have to put up with people disrespecting you, and you have to pretend as if it's okay." He said Denzel Washington told him that at your highest moment, be careful, the devil will come for you. He went on to apologize to the Academy Awards and his fellow nominees, but he didn't apologize to Chris Rock. Now let me examine Will Smith's apology. So first I'm going to read whatever question he was asked, and then I'm going to give you or explain the common sense lesson that we can learn from Will Smith's response. So these words appeared on the screen before Will Smith did his official apology. It said, "It's been a minute. Over the past few months, I've been doing a lot of thinking and personal work. You have asked some fair questions that I wanted to take the time to answer." He then continued by reading this question from a teleprompter. And the first question was, "Why didn't you apologize to Chris Rock in your acceptance speech?" Will Smith said that he was fogged out at that moment. It was all fuzzy. He transitioned to talk about trying to reach out to Chris Rock, and the word or message that came back was that Chris Rock will reach out when he's ready to talk. Will Smith then went on to directly apologize to Chris Rock, saying, "My behavior is unacceptable. I'm here to talk when you're ready." He then apologized to Chris Rock's family, and he spoke about seeing Chris Rock's mother in an interview. I think she was talking about the event, the occurrence of the event. And he said that at that moment he never realized how many people were hurt. He then went on to talk about Tony Rock and their great relationship, but now he realized their relationship might be irreparable. He then went on to talk about over the last 3 months, trying to understand the nuances and complexities of what happened in that moment. No part of him, he says, believed that it was the right way to act. It wasn't the right way to handle a situation when you think you're being disrespected or insulted. Now let me give you my common sense analysis and the quick common sense lessons that you can learn from this. Now it was appropriate for Will Smith to apologize to Chris Rock and his family, although I believe that his apology lacked depth. He needed to spend more time explaining whatever it is that happened, in detail what happened, and show more reverence to Chris Rock's family, because there were so much persons that were hurt. And not only Chris Rock family, but also persons that were fans and just ordinary persons even like myself. I therefore believe that he could have explained much more. If he said by his own words that he has taken the past 3 months understanding the nuances and complexities of what happened, then a better explanation should be forthcoming. I believe that a better explanation should have been that he was angry at the moment and he wrongly believed that his behavior was justified. That would have been a better explanation. I believe that you must consider the following things when you are going to make an apology. You must not make any excuses. You must take full responsibility. So saying that you're fogged out or you're fuzzy or making excuses or nuances only makes situations worse. And also always remember the casualties if you have to apologize, or even before you actually do something that would need an apology. There are persons that are going to be hurt. And we must consider what are the elements or the criteria for a sincere apology. First, you must have the humility to admit that you did something wrong, and then you must acknowledge the hurt you have caused. And then lastly, you must sincerely apologize and promise not to repeat the behavior. Do you believe Will Smith's apology to Chris Rock and his family met those criteria? Now let me move on to question number 2. After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? Will Smith said, no, I made a decision on my own based on my experiences and history with Chris Rock. Jada had nothing to do with it. Will Smith then went on to apologize to Jada and his children for the heat he has brought on them. He then apologized to his fellow nominees, particularly Questlove. It was during Questlove's presentation, or Chris Rock was presenting Questlove his award when the incident actually happened. Now let me give my analysis. So Will Smith rightfully apologized to his fellow nominees. He also did that on the night of the Academy Awards. But I do not believe that his explanation concerning his experiences and history with Chris Rock was necessary, or maybe he should have elaborated rather. He was the one that actually brought that into the discussion, and he knew that he was going to be asked his questions. These were his questions. Therefore, he should have elaborated, because then it kind of gives the impression that he's trying to blame Chris Rock for his behavior. Chris Rock, his history and experiences with Chris Rock. What history and what experiences have you had with Chris Rock? And was Chris Rock aware of this? And also, I think it's very deceptive to say that you were not affected by your wife's annoyed expression. Any reasonable husband would have felt upset if his wife felt insulted or disrespected by a joke that was made by a comedian. And then what we can learn from this: do not be ambiguous. Stay on track. Make sure whoever you are apologizing to remains the focal point of your apology. Now let's look at his last question that was asked of Will Smith. So what would you say to the people that looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down? Now, Will Smith said that disappointing people is his central trauma, and he further said that it hurts him emotionally and psychologically, not living up to the impression that people have of him. And he's deeply remorseful, but he's trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of himself. I'm human, I made a mistake, he said. He's disappointed in I'm human, I made a mistake, and I'm trying not to feel like a piece of blank. He's disappointed in his behavior, and he promises that he's deeply devoted and committed to putting light, love, and joy in the world. Now, I can go straight to the common sense lessons that we can learn from this. Disappointing people should never be your central trauma. Rather, disappointing yourself should be your central trauma. You can never totally live up to people's impression of you. As a matter of fact, it's a miserable ordeal if you ever try to do that. You must live according to your values and your beliefs about who you think you are as a person. And therefore, you would not be forced or feel compelled to live up or pretend to be somebody that you're not. Again, also, When it comes on to people, you must always remember that people are very difficult to please, and you will never totally please everybody. And Will Smith in this instance shows himself to be a people pleaser. Now, he said something very interesting as it pertained to he was remorseful, but he's trying not to feel ashamed of himself. I did some research because that was very interesting. So he was guilty, but he was trying to not to feel ashamed of himself. What did he mean by that? I did some reading on Google and I found that shame allows us, or shame makes us direct our focus inward and makes us view our entire self in a negative light, while feelings of guilt, in contrast, makes us focus our attention on the feelings or having empathy for others, and allows us to accept responsibility. I found that very interesting, and it's something new that I've learned, and I hope it is something new that you have learned also. Now let me move on. I believe that shame has its place. I believe that you don't want to remain ashamed of yourself, because feeling shameful of yourself is punishment, and you don't want to have persons around you wanting you to remain in that state. But I believe shame proves that whatever you did contradicts the person that you really are, and feeling guilty then would then transition where you would actually take responsibility and can make some changes with your thinking and your behavior, and possibly salvage the relationship if it's possible. Now, let me move on to the common sense, with my final common sense thought. I'm losing my trail of thought. Sorry about that. So, 1, do not apologize if you are not sincere or if you are not ready to apologize. I do not believe Will Smith was ready to apologize. I don't believe that Will Smith believed that he was wrong in this situation. I believe that his words were not a sincere representation of his true thoughts. And with that said, if you're ever going to apologize, make sure you're ready to apologize, or do not apologize at all. I believe it would have served Will Smith better if he never apologized at all, or make sure that he was ready to apologize in this instance. Now, also, if you're going to apologize, you must know that your apology is not a performance. Your apology can help with your personal growth, because it takes a lot of character strength to make yourself vulnerable to someone, to apologize to them. And bearing in mind that you might apologize and the person might not accept your apology. But the growth comes when you know that you have done the right thing. And also, there would be possible room for reconciliation if the relationship can be salvaged. And number 2, do not take too long to apologize. The longer you take to apologize is the more hurt that this person might experience, because then when you eventually apologize, they might not believe that you're sincere. And lastly, we are all human. None of us are impregnable to our emotions. But we don't want to live our lives polishing over our insecurities with our successes. And then when eventually the devil comes for us, which in this sense is our emotions, we do things that cause hurt to ourselves, that make us damage our reputation and make people lose respect for us. And there is something very important to learn from this whole situation, and it is Chris Rock's response. Chris Rock proved to us that you do not have to allow your emotions to control you. Chris Rock maintained his composure and professionalism, and therefore we can recognize that unlike Will Smith, he consulted his common sense before he consulted his emotions. And that is what we must do in instances when we feel offended. And whenever we have done something, hopefully unknowingly, to offend someone else, and we are going to apologize, bear in mind all that I've mentioned in this video. So I hope you have learned something today. Thank you very much for joining me. And as usual, You know our mantra: learn it, become it, and share it. Have a nice day.